because any serious government will come to the presidency with an agenda and a plan to develop the country. And when the president came into office, prior to the conclusion of the arrest agenda, we had the arrest agenda, like a general idea and a broad idea on what he, wanted to do as a president. So almost 2 years in, I will say he's exceeded expectation, in my opinion. And it's open for debate, of course. I mean, because these conversations are important to be had. But the Liberian people themselves will tell you in comparison to other administration, because one thing I don't like to do personally, I don't like to be in the habit of comparing this administration with past administration with others, because this administration goal is not to measure that we've done better than the past. The goal is to compete with people who've done extremely well, other countries who've done extremely well.
The past, they didn't do extremely well.
I'm saying any attempt, because of course they didn't do extremely well. That's why the Liberian people voted them out. That's not a debate. So
if you want to compare your own good grades, are you not going to look at the person who failed and see what you have accomplished?
No, because that's not what we're looking at.
To you.
Of course not. When you in 12th grade. Or when you're in 11th grade, you're not thinking of 9th graders or 7th grader or I mean, that's your interpretation.
No, I just want to know, because
I'm just saying, life. Listen, life is going forward. The car we all drive, there's a view mirror and there's side view mirrors, and there's a big dashboard and a big front view where it is clear, transparent.
No.
I'm talking about a glass through now, the front view.
Okay.
A see-through where when you're in the traffic, you'll be able to see clearly. The reason why they make that place big is a big glass in the wiper. When you're raining, they won't clear your view. It's because the goal of life is to go forward. The small mirrors are there to make those one tiny, just for you to pick through and see, okay, there's a mistake coming, let me dodge it. There's a mistake here. They didn't make it big so you to be looking what's behind you. You've gone, we've passed that. Liberia wants to move forward. Because if we compare ourselves, Diamond, you and I are relatively young people. And the Liberia we were given when we were born in chaos. The war I have experienced with refugee life, displacement, I mean, it was chaotic. We didn't have a perfect childhood growing up like our colleagues in other countries. So our example should not be about the past. You see, you riding on road, you go to other countries, you see people talking 3 lanes, 6 lanes, and, skyscrapers. We can't be complacent and be comparing today with yesterday. So the goal of this administration is to look forward, is to think of a future where our competitors will not be the people behind us, but the people who are going forward. When we talk about national exams, so our students can be over there. When we talk about international education, we're talking Liberians doing excellent. We're talking high class. We're not looking behind. We're not there yet. That's why under 2 years, what this government is doing with a budget of $1 billion. $1 billion, in fact, when other countries tell you about their budget, you'll be scratching your head.
Yeah, we'll get to the budget.
So I'm just saying, we cannot look at the future at the same time comparing. So this government interest, because the past government did poorly, that's why the Liberian people voted them out, and this government is doing well. That's why the Liberian people entrusted this government with this process. And going forward, the Liberian people want this government to do better. That's why every day, even every little thing that the government does, whether it's wrong or right, there will be critics, because the Liberian people believe that you can do better. So even this small thing, this little accomplishment, Liberian people are not super excited because they know they want better, and that's where this government is leading. So in terms of the major achievement, I think, like I was mentioning, the arrest agenda for inclusive development on the aspect of agriculture. Right now, if you connect with the Ministry of Agriculture, you'll see they are bringing in more farmers. And the goal, we've launched one of the biggest and ambitious agricultural plan for Liberia, Feed Yourself. We are a country of vast natural resources, land to our disposal. We have to be able to grow what we eat and eat what we grow. And that is where we're going. Investments have been made in that area. Lots of farmers have been giving resources to contribute to the food security sector. When it comes to the road, we are not there yet, but we are doing better. And one thing is happening under this administration, even with the challenges, where there are major challenges of the road, the Ministry of Public Works and her team are working even during the course of the rain. And now that the dry season is coming, they have launched the Operation Octopus, something that has started.
Operation what name?
Octopus.
Operation Octopus in Liberia doesn't say well.
Well,
Why decided to name the Operation
no, because it was in October. Octopus, you know what an octopus is?
Yeah, with many
tentacles, you do different things.
But you know the historical context of octopus in Liberia.
No. Words. The thing with words is you who decide how to call it. You know, you can use one word and call it two different things. You know, so you can even use the negative connotation and bring a positive connotation to it, so that the narrative, when you hear octopus, you say octopus road, you mean octopus, you know, invasion in a sense where it's invading the old spot, breaking down houses that are in the pathway, whether they are no diamond and not diamond, beautiful structure here. Once it's in the passage where they clear out, because the development of the country is important.
Octopus is not the octopus of destruction.
Exactly, it's the octopus of construction and ensuring that road works goes across the country, because with road alone, you connect to many aspects of development. So you have the context of the rule of law. Rule of law, a lot of things have happened. One, especially on the mark of our history, where we've come from, the challenges of the war. Instead of us just saying, oh yeah, Liberia, we fought war, so let's go back and forget it, to do, we holding people accountable. That is why, for the first time in the history of our country, after the Truth and Reconciliation Commission process and report, President Boakai set up an office for War and Economic Crime Court. And part of that TRC report was to talk about reconciliation and see what he's done under the context of the rule of law, especially to ensure that our history, people come to terms with the history of the past. He's reburied former presidents on reconciliation. He's reburied our former presidents who were not giving the level of importance that the state should have given them. He's even in this, those of us who are students of transitional justice, the issue of public apology is major. To take account of what has happened and tell the Liberian people, yes, the country hurt her sons and daughters, but we are sorry. That's a major step in that. Some people who were victims of the war, they just needed that closure. And he's doing that gradually. And he's promised he's going to ensure that there's the aspect of the memorialization. We started efforts of memorialization. I know you have the Depot Road Memorial. There are counties that were badly affected, even in my own county, Grand Cape Mount County. The Meha massacre, lots of massacre happened. Families were killed. The Lutheran Church massacre. So the memorialization project, he's looking forward to doing that, and doing that deliberately and strategically on the mark of reconciliation. On the mark of education, of course, there have been investment in our education sector. The schools, the construction of modern schools with our partners, the World Bank and other institutions, ensuring that our classrooms are smart classrooms with consistent electricity, with improvement in enrollment, with girls' education, and even at the tertiary level, ensuring that our public institutions have what it takes. That's why even if you see this budget, as you said, will come to, there have been investment in the increment of the budget on that aspect. We may not be there yet, but we're on the pathway of getting there.
What are those challenges? Just if you can just list the challenges, and then Yekezi and Sylvester can come in. Those challenges that you still need to navigate, even though you said positives from your perspective. But what are those major challenges?
I think in all aspects, there will definitely be challenges in every given area. But I think one of the major area, and that's something that the government is working on, is the aspect of job creation for our young people. And, again, the way our system is structured, a lot of attention is on public sector and public service. So a lot of our people are interested in, serving in government, working for the presidency and whatnot, or being appointed. And we have limited, private sector. So all of the other investments, or most of the investments that the president is looking forward to, is to bring on private sector on board so that we can employ more young people. Because Diamond, if you have opportunities to, employ people, that's why other economies, when you go to the West and other places, you don't have to have higher education. In fact, right now, it's put out a call for application. You have, for 2 people, you have a lot of people applying.
Which we're about to do.
Exactly. So even we just, as you may know, we recently launched the internship program.
That was a good one. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we recently launched the internship program, and that internship program, we're trying to get at least the first 10 batch. Diamond, we got almost 200 applications. So it tells us that there are more young people who want to get employed, lots of young people who are out of high school, who are not in college. Some are in college, they don't have job. So the job creation is something that from the Ministry of Youth and Sports, even short-term, medium-term, and long-term jobs, that's where the focus is going to be on. And it's a challenge, of course. But also in connection as well, we've done a lot of great job with the anti-corruption fight. You see several audits. You see president deliberate actions of suspending public officials, or even in some instances dismissing public officials and forwarding them to LACC. So just it's the slow pace of the conclusion of the investigation, especially from the arm of the LACC in those cases. So it's important. I mean, you also recently heard of the work of the Assets Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force. Those, anti-graft activities is something that, in terms of conclusion of those, reports and finding is where it's a little slow. We hope that the teams over there will do really well. But with the presidency, he's really tried to take specific and direct actions on public officials.
Thank you. Yakazi, Sylvester?
Yeah, so just a follow up on the, challenges according to you. The government is faced with. You say, job creation is one of the challenges that the government is faced with. But I mean, prior to the government being elected, what was the government's roadmap when it comes to creating jobs, and is this roadmap being followed?
Well, of course. So there wasn't one roadmap to say this is a specific plan for job creation. Like I mentioned, there was a full agenda in all aspects. So on the economy, on the health, on sanitation, on tourism, and those sectors, and what will happen across those chains, there are opportunities for jobs creation in those areas. So part of that, education also carried that, youth employment carried that, the TVET component carries that. So there have been a number of different areas streamlining job opportunities in this different area, whether it's agriculture, whether it's education, whether it's public works and the road works efforts. So in those lines, there opportunities for job creation in this area, but on the accelerated level, of course, there have been job opportunities, of course, for young people. People have had opportunities, because I do know the Ministry of Youth and Sports also have done some work in hiring on a short-term basis, over 1,000. I'm sure you could recall there was a job out with the PBCC and others. But again, there needs to do more. There are lots of young people who need permanent employment, permanent job opportunities, and they also need short-term, where there's a need for short-term job opportunities, and also medium-term and long-term job opportunities. But the other side of the job conversation is that the preparedness of young people. A lot of young people need to be able to be qualified, because what's happening is that there are times when you put out a call for application, you're looking for a certain level career qualification. But people may not necessarily have that, but they want the job. Sometimes it's higher, and then they have lower, but they believe that they're competent in those areas. So it's a both way. So the young people who are in the different spaces, who it's important that you do your best and get the necessary qualification required, so that when these opportunities avail themselves, you are in the first batch of people who can be able to have access to those job opportunities.
Worry, anything from you before we go to the budget? We have to talk about the budget.
You are not Press Secretary. You are one of the few in government who sees the president on a daily basis, from the look of things, is the president aware of or hearing the voices of Liberians, maybe via radio or reading the newspapers? What is he saying to the many complaints? For instance, what's coming from the opposition, what's coming from the market women, students.
Can you give some of those specifics?
Okay,
complaint
that the arrest. That's not the arrest. Can we say the arrest agenda? Or rescue. It's in rescuing Liberian, but rather rescuing itself. You government officials are living better life. The poor continue to get poorer. People complain of not having their kids in school. Is the president hearing the complaints? Market women go to the markets and no buyers.
Well, to be honest, when you're in a political space, there will definitely be divergence of views. There will be people who will, no matter what you do, who will not agree with your policies. And especially when you have a country where, most politically exposed people already have sides. So whether it is quote unquote marketeers and others, people who didn't vote for you, and who have very strong opinions against you, no matter what you do, they will definitely have opinions. So I'm saying this to mean that when you have a society where we had a near 50-50 vote, right? So the majority who voted for you, there is quite a significant minority in court that did not vote for you and they do not agree with your policies. So in an open conversations, you'll still have those people who will naturally disagree with what you're doing, and they will say things. So if it's just general to say rescue is rescuing themselves and stuff, but let's go to what the government is doing. Now, normally when you hear people talk about the country, Liberians, and our issue with food security, rice, for example, when you talk about the bread and butter issues, people say, oh, rice price. Today, we do not have issues of shortages of rice on the market, and the affordability. People are buying rice at a lower cost, and it's been consistent, and there are plans to even go further for further reduction. Also, let's look at the fuel, gasoline. Yesterday, I personally bought a gas for $700 Liberian dollars. 700 for Liberian dollars from a gas station, from a petrol station.
Show me that station. So
I bought it $700 from the gas station. And people, and the consistency, also the reduction of the fuel prices. Sometimes when people say the bread and butter issues, those are the things that they look at. Also, on the issue of transportation, public transportation, there have been inroads with the bringing in of additional buses to augment what the NTA is currently, working with, and improving those to be able to commute between your marketplaces, your work, and all of that. Those are things you will visibly see. And electricity. I live in a community that's very far removed from the main line, from the main road. And electricity on the main road, something that wasn't there in a long time. I was coming to work. I saw the planting poles along the roads in other communities that are far too rich. So there are inroads in those areas, electricity, access to water. So when you talk about the successes, if quote unquote, except you want to tell us that, the only people who enjoy the electricity, who enjoy the gas, because when I go to the gas station to buy gas, they don't ask me for my rescue ID card, or I go places that nobody even know who I am. So before people think, oh, because no, everybody, there's a standard price that you pay. Transportation, when I was in a keke the other day, the keke man, I asked him how much from here to the location. He showed me, and I pay. Because it's something that for everyone. So if a transportation price is reduced, It's not for just rescue, quote unquote, rescue officials. And talking about only rescue officials are enjoying, I mean, again, that's a general statement. People will say those things. But if you look at the things, the different, things, I can tell anybody talking about rescue officials enjoying. When I was assistant minister during Madame Sirleaf's regime, I made more money than I'm making today as at the level of a deputy minister, because presidential press secretary at the level of a deputy minister. So as a deputy minister, I'm making less than what I made as assistant minister.
Madam Fofana.
And when it comes to, let's just conclude this point.
Yeah.
And when it comes to all of the different things, whether rescue officials are enjoying more, I mean, that's individual conversation but if you look at the collective, for the first time, people are able to leave from here to go to Grand Jide in a day. If you want to, you can come back before the day and before the quote unquote 24-hour ends if you want to. It has happened. People go to Lofa and come back. So the progress is not just small. It's not just like wild, but you can see it just under 2 years. So imagine we are at this point under 2 years. What will happen by the time we're getting to the conclusion of the 6 years? I'm sure Liberia, even if it will not be the best, but it will be at least better, far better than what it was yesterday and where we met it today and where we are taking it.
So thank you. Let's go to the budget quickly.